welcome to the Tournament Center. I'm Randy Buehler here with Brian David-Marshall. We're in New York, and the 2007 World Championships is done. When all the dust settled, it was Uri Peleg, an Israeli national team member, who got the job done. He's our world champion.
He's the first Israeli player to make it into the top 8 of a Pro Tour.
Yes.
And he made the most of his opportunity.
True.
He was, as he was working his way up through the bracket, Gabriel Nassif and Pat Chapin, two of the three most established names in the top 8.
And playing the deck that everyone was buzzing about, that Dragonstorm deck.
Playing the Breakout Dragonstorm deck, were scared of facing Uri Peleg's deck.
He had his own take on green-black. There were 5 different green-black decks in the top 8. The Japanese took it in an elf direction. Some other players took it in a more control-ish mid-speed direction. Uri Peleg's version was Doran the Siege Tower. He could hit hard, he could hit for 5, coming out on the second turn, had the disruption, had just all the good cards in the format stuck together, and the key was he had the best sideboard. His sideboard was set up, he could handle the Dragonstorm deck in the finals.
A lot of players abandoned Rift Sweepers. We haven't seen Rift Sweepers.
True.
I mean, we saw a lot of standard matches over the course of the weekend. Did not see a lot of Rift Sweepers. Dragonstorm wasn't supposed to be on the radar. He still had them. He was able to get a key Lotus Bloom and a key Rift Bolt in one of the deciding games.
Yeah,
that really is the World Championship title right there.
Absolutely.
That Rift Sweeper.
No question about it.
And the one Hypnotic Spell.
So, Uri beats Pat Chapin in the finals. Now, Pat Chapin won. He played a semifinal match against Gabriel Nassif. It's a mirror match. They're both playing Dragonstorm decks. They're friends. They tested together. That must have been one of the 5 best matches in the history of the Pro Tour.
Oh, it was fantastic. It looks like Gabriel Nassif is just going to lose. He mulligans his opening hand. He looks at his next 6. We're looking at it sort of over his shoulder, and we're like, that's not a really good hand. There's not much you can do with it, but you're playing a Storm deck.
Right.
Can you go to 5? Well, not only could he go to 5, he went all the way down to 4. He went to 4 cards on the play.
It was the right thing to do. It was absolutely
correct.
Look at these 5. He's like, I got a better shot with 4 random cards. He shuffles up his 4 random cards. He's got some land. He draws a Lotus Bloom. He's starting to stitch it together. And the thing is, Chapin still went off first.
Right.
Chapin goes off. He'd sideboarded in Ignite Memories, and so he does a bunch of Storm stuff. He has 5 copies of Ignite Memories. All he's got to do is deal 9 damage, and he wins the match, goes through to the finals. Nassif's got a 1 mana, a 2 mana, a 5, and the crowd is going berserk. Like, they're lined up on the railings. They're cheering at every card, and basically Chapin got ridiculously unlucky. Nassif mises, takes 8 damage off the 5 Ignite Memories instead of 9.
3 2s. And 2
and then
ones.
He had to hit Rift Bolt, had to hit exactly.
He could never hit that one card.
So the crowd goes berserk. Nassif untaps. He does Ignite Memories. Chapin loses that game. That forces Game 5. And Game 5 was tight. Game 5, they're both going back and forth. Nassif is set up to win next turn. Chapin's got to decide whether to play offense. He can go for Ignite Memories. He can play defense. He can go for the Ancient Grudge. And he decides to go for the win with the Ignite Memories. And as soon as he does it, you just see Nassif, and he's just like, oh God, what have I done? He had played out a land and a Rift Bolt that didn't really need to win the game on the next turn.
He had 3 Lotus Blooms coming in.
3 Lotus Blooms for Dragonstorm, that's all you need.
Right.
So he played 2 cards out. Now suddenly his hand has got 2, an 8 mana spell and a 9 mana spell. If he's got a land and a Rift Bolt shuffling up 6 cards, he might have survived. He might have been playing in the finals of Worlds, but no, Chapin hits the cards he needed, gets the good luck versus the bad luck. Just an awesome game of Magic.
Yeah.
Highly recommend going into the archives.
Expletive deleted moment.
Just one of the best matches of Magic I've ever watched. Meanwhile, Switzerland absolutely dominated the team competition here at Worlds. Paced by World's top 8 competitor Christoph Huber, they led wire to wire on team day. They came in, smashed Austria, swept them 2 straight. So hats off to Huber, Rafael Gennari, who had a previous Pro Tour top 8, and then a couple of up-and-comers. Nico Boni, he's got a Grand Prix win. Manuel Butcher, everybody on Magic Online knows this guy. He even designed the deck that won Pro Tour Valencia, or at least the deck it was based on. So 4 Swiss players now have World Team title to their credit. Now, the one country we haven't mentioned so far, Switzerland beat Austria, by the way. One country we haven't mentioned is Japan. Normally, they're the ones racking up all the hardware. And to be fair, they still racked up plenty. They still got their fair share. So congratulations to Player of the Year, Tomoharu Saito.
And Rookie of the Year,
Yuya Watanabe. Saito has been known for years as the POY maker.
Right.
He teamed with Kenji Sumura 2 years ago. They did well at top 8 in Pro Tour in Atlanta. Kenji wins the Player of the Year. Last year, Team Pro Tour, he teams with Shota Yasoka. Yasoka wins Player of the Year. This year, the POY maker is the POY. So Saito had just a great year. He's been playing great Magic for years. Totally deserves it.
And more importantly, he gets to the Invitational next year. Remember, he passed on an Invitational berth
to go chase pro points.
To make sure he could get pro points at Grand Prix Australia.
That was pretty interesting. And it was, Kenji made the opposite decision. Kenji went to the Invitational, and it was Kenji that finished in second place.
Right.
Finished in second place, about a Grand Prix behind. Winning a Grand Prix, to be fair, but about a Grand Prix behind. So, been a great weekend of Magic. I'm curious, what's your lasting memory of this Pro Tour?
I mean, having the Pro Tour back in New York is incredibly important to me. I've been involved with the New York Magic community since 1994, when I first started playing Magic, started running tournaments. You know, I've watched this community grow up, still watching it grow up, you know, players, having the tournament come back here to New York City where the first Pro Tour was, seeing all these faces, some that we haven't seen in a number of years. It was a tremendously emotional weekend for me. It made me very happy, and you know, I'm looking forward to getting another one back here pretty soon. Let's make this happen.
Sure.
What about your memory?
I mean, for me, I don't know. It's hard for me to extract my own personal situation. I mean, the Hall of Fame, the Year 3 class was been looked forward to for years. Just a ridiculous class. Kai Bude, Zvi Moshowitz, all these guys that really made the Pro Tour great, and it's a huge honor for me just to be part of that class. And for me, so much of my life has been devoted to Magic over the years. I've just made so many decisions, both to play the game professionally and then to move to Wizards and work for the game. So, you know, having the community sort of recognize that by letting me into the Hall of Fame, I mean, I'll have that forever. It's something I'll absolutely remember. So, similar sort of old school answer.
And congratulations, it's very well deserved.
Thank you, thank you. No, it just feels really good. And I mean, the Hall of Fame this weekend, Raphael Levy put up a top 16. Zvi Moshowitz honored the format by playtesting. And I can still play, puts up a top 32. So, you know, really sort of, he wanted to.
Sure, and John Finkel and Bob Marr were in the mix through 2 formats. They sort of fell by the wayside in the 3rd format, but they showed that they still had what it takes to tussle with the young crowd.
Yeah. And Kai Bude is the headliner, obviously. Kai, greatest set of accomplishments in the history of the game, and just Hall of Fame would be incomplete without him. So now he's there. It really feels like Magic is just such a great game. You've got guys coming out of the woodwork. Nobody ever really stops playing. Yeah. Even looking at Pat Chapin in the top 8, he went 8.5 years between top 8s. 8.5 years. Now he's back in the top 8. He's playing again. Those are my memories of the Pro Tour, but when the headline is written, you know, when history looks back on this Pro Tour, they're going to look at Uri Peleg. They're going to look at the first Israel top 8. They're going to look at a great world champion.
The 2007 Magic the Gathering world champion, Uri Peleg. Congratulations.
Signing off for the Tournament Center for Brian David-Marshall, this is Randy Buehler, and we will see you guys next season.